One. Hello and welcome today for our GRSP Global Remote Research Scholars Program. Invited actually faculty lecture from Dr. Faisal Nawaz. Dr. Nawaz is a psychiatry resident in UAE. He has been involved in social media for many years, and I've considered and accepted that in multiple forums as my mentor for social media. So I'm very excited to invite him today as a faculty lecturer to tell us about social media, how he has utilized it, what is the tidbits A to Z of social media, and how others can utilize the opportunity as well. Followed by that, we'll have Dr. Faisal, Dr. Zara Arshad, and myself joining him on the panel to take questions and probably discuss our take on what he talked as well as our experience as well. Without any further ado, I would like to hand it over to Dr. Nawaz for his talk today for A to Z of social media for healthcare professionals. Faisal.
Thank you, Dr. Kashyap, and really nice to be here to see so many of us from different backgrounds, different fields coming together to explore something that brings us together before even we entered the field of something that isn't an option anymore. That's how I'd like us to remember this. It's not something that we keep in our thoughts as an afterthought, but rather a part of our lives, whether we like it or not. So just as a quick introduction, I'm Dr. Faisal Nawaz, a psychiatry resident based in Dubai, and also a researcher in the background and a faculty member at the Global Remote Research Scholars Program. This is a program that I've had the pleasure to work on with research opportunities and remote sort of projects for scholars around the world, be it medical students, physicians, as well as people outside the field of healthcare. So if our social media channels, and in a way, I think this is one example to begin with how social media impacts all of us, and that could be through research, through this program, or in many other ways. So what I'll be doing is really having more of a direct face-to-face session with you all, because I think social media isn't something that could be covered by text or slides. I see it as a tool. I see it as an experience. And going back to how this journey began for me. So this was quite early on during my years as a medical student, where I didn't quite know what was going on with social media. I knew it was something that's very personal, very connection-based, to socialize with friends, with family. And it was never a thought that this could become something that pretty much frames a lot of my projects today, a lot of my success wins that came, including joining sort of different positions in research, in residency, in academia. And a lot of it is because of having a bit of awareness that all of you, to some extent, can bring into your lives. It wasn't a lot of extra time. It wasn't a lot of extra fellowships or masters. This was just a bit of insight into how today's world is multifaceted using social media. So to begin with how it is, I think looking at social media as a healthcare provider, I think going back, for me, it was more of using it as someone who could reflect and represent what I'm doing currently in my life. So it was a very simple goal I had. And when it came to reflecting what I'm doing, I realized I've got a bit of a unique angle here. I've got a perception that not many people can share, which is as simple as a medical student who's based in other places. And to show that side of medicine and healthcare was my starting point. And all of you have your own unique stories. There's no one who lives the story and the experience that you're going through. There cannot be a second person like that, which means that there is no one here who can tell me that I don't have anything to share that's going to be interesting to someone. You all have something to share. And that's how it started. So I looked at the idea that I'd like to share what I'm going through, wins, the real perceptions. It could be as simple as sharing a picture. But before that, I realized, well, I have an idea for social media. I'd like to share something that I'm having right now in my life. But how do I choose the right platform? And choosing the right platform at that point, I think I didn't put in too much thought into going about it. But looking back, I think there are a few things to keep in mind. So when you're looking at what social media platform works for you, it's a lot like understanding your personality before picking a field you're interested in, or even in a way the right person in your life. So social media is in many ways something that you're living with every day, and to align your personality with it is so important. So I've had people who often come up with, I've been using social media for years, I just don't feel like this is for me. And yet they stay on the same platform, not realizing that this is not a match for them. So the first step is to understand, what does my personality and what kind of a person am I, the way I express my thoughts. Am I more of a texting person? Am I someone who likes to write more? Or maybe I'm someone who likes to share images and videos of myself, and maybe that platform works closer for me. So you could think of maybe Instagram in that direction of impact. For myself, I think it was more of a quick sort of jump into exploring opportunities. And I was like, yeah, I've heard a lot about Twitter. I've seen some sides of it, which is by physicians using it. But I'm not sure if this is for me, but let me give it a try. And that's my second point for you, which is you may not know everything about what you're about to use, and that's fine. I think that's what overwhelms us, because we're looking at it as I must know everything and I must do it perfectly. And that's where the perfectionist comes in. And you're now stuck with, I can't do anything. I can't create my first step into social media because I don't know enough about it. So understand what kind of a person you are, how you relate to the platform. It could be Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, or even a new one like Mastodon that's coming up. So you've got a lot of options to pick, and that can sometimes overwhelm you. The other idea is sort of looking at, well, now that I've realized what my platform of choice is, how do I keep making an impact? How does my content that I'm sharing actually make a difference? And a big part of that is really, it comes down to being genuine with yourself. So if you're someone who is good at perhaps texting and creating short snippets of messages, maybe giving Twitter a shot is a good idea. And then the next step is, okay, what do I tweet about? There's so much to tweet about, yet there's nothing to tweet about. And you see all the people around you. You look at these influencers, you look at people who've been using it for years with thousands of followers, and it almost looks like you're back into the same classroom with your imposter syndrome kicking in, that I don't think anyone's going to like what I'm going to talk about. So start with the simple things. Start with you. Start with the person you know the most, and the most interesting person, because no one knows you besides you as much as that matters. So it's a matter of being genuine. For me, once I started tweeting about the most simple things, like I currently had a conference at this institution. I visited the conference. This is what I saw. It's not even something that's purely coming from me. It's not my personality being reflected here. It's purely what I see is what I post. And that's my first advice, I think, in terms of what to post. You can start small by just posting what you see might be something interesting to people. And that could be really just copy pasting a slide. You can start with just, maybe you attended a talk, you liked a slide. Well, take a picture of that slide, or maybe just quote that slide in. And tag someone. So you don't just want to create a post or a content as a healthcare provider, as a medical student, that doesn't create some sort of an impact. It's really a butterfly effect of things. So you make sure that if there's anyone possibly who could be connected to your post, be it the speaker of the conference, be it your friend who might be interested in that topic, So these are ways which we use to create engagement. You have to poke people. Unlike a real life environment where we're sitting on a call and I'm sharing something with you, it won't be noticed unless you tag someone, unless you try to create intentionally an engagement. So tag the right people who are involved or people who might be interested. And again, there's no harm in that, because the worst case scenario is really the person who you tag might not respond. And that's fine. At least you tried to connect people to your content. The other thing was looking at building it further now. So you've started to have some consistency in your activity. So you could look at actually look at it from maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. That's still fine. And I think consistency is what took me that far in terms of creating some sort of an influence. Because if people know this is something I regularly talk about, they're going to associate me with that topic. So you have to stay consistent, not just with the posting part, but also with the topic you're talking about. So rather than jumping across 5 topics or 10 topics, that may be interesting, but it's not defining you on social media anymore. So start with sticking to a consistent topic that you're genuinely passionate about. So we've talked about being genuine. We've talked about making sure that you start small, reflect what you can. And we've talked about consistency, both with your own content, but also the type of content you're posting. And that's where I discovered that, well, there's more to social media. It's really a place that's bringing people together, which means it's going to also bring communities together. And there's a chance here for all of us to actually identify which communities are we closer to. And some of them are closer to our passion. It could be directly what we're working in medicine. It could be outside medicine. Or create your community if it doesn't exist. And how do you create one? Well, one way is to actually start talking about it, even if no one's listening. And the other way is to utilize tools that are built into the platform, yet we don't fully understand them. And that's where hashtags come in. And this is something we could perhaps explore more on the panel discussion that's following in. But I think having your own community and people who you regularly interacting with is a great sense of belonging that you can create within your topic of interest. And then the next time someone tweets, it's going to be connected to you. So you don't have to tag them. Maybe they would tag you because they'll remember you as someone who talks about art in healthcare or is talking about feminism in healthcare or leadership in healthcare. And that's the first seed of impact you're creating. You're making people think of the topic. You're making them think of you connected to that topic. And that's powerful because it all starts with a ripple effect. So what I did in my case is sharing that bit of awareness around something that was interesting to me. So I moved on from just sharing what I saw to sharing what I like to sharing the idea of a community. And in my case, a community that I liked was related to technology in healthcare, artificial intelligence in healthcare. That to me was something that made me excited. And I realized there wasn't enough about it. So I would talk about it and then add a hashtag. And this could be my own hashtag, or it could be another one that's already existing. And then people who use the same hashtag are gonna keep seeing that post that comes from you. So essentially, after about a year or maybe less of consistent tweeting around a topic, around a community, and currently we've got our own hashtag, which we've recently created, like hashtag mentoring in healthcare. So you can see how there's this, it's all down to you and it's down to creativity of what matters to you the most. And people will follow you. People will follow if they see someone being genuine, someone trying to add knowledge, add value to the community, even if it's a small step. And lastly, we're looking at the idea of how this translates to even knowledge-based impact. So as a physician, as a researcher, we've all got an innate responsibility of letting that content, that evidence out there. We cannot just keep it within PubMed databases and research papers that no one, frankly, is going to read besides our own medical community. So what can we do when we talk about awareness is create our own brand, create our own initiatives where this paper, this topic that's so close to us can actually benefit the community. And to me, that's a responsibility. That's not an option. As people representing science, as people representing healthcare, we have a lot more to do. And that's where social media and healthcare comes in. It comes in as a space for us to finally feel heard, be it our challenges, be it our stuff. This is also about you. This is about you feeling welcomed within a community. And that's what I found. That's what I found through social media. That's what made me stay. So it wasn't just the value I was creating, but also the sense of is a basket of things, and it depends on how much you make out of it. But it's also something that can change your life while you make an impact. And not many places and not many communities get to make you feel this way in such a short time. So I hope this, in a way, rounded up or initial rapid, insight-based talk about social media and healthcare. And I hope the panel discussion that follows with excellent lineup of faculty will create more ideas and opportunities for even collaborations and things that we've done. So I'll hand over the microphone to Dr. Kashyap, and we'll see how we go on from here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faisal. For this segment, I'll stop the recording and probably we'll start the recording again, given that we have all the four panelists here today. So please watch and like and subscribe if you are watching this video.